I don't think there's a superhero out there with an ego as big or as entertaining as Iron Man. And if you read the comics or watched the movies, you already know the story. Billionaire Tony Stark starts out as a weapons manufacturer, but all that changes when his own tech literally blows up in his face with a shrapnel launched near his heart, and terrorists holding him captive. Tony does what he does best, and he builds, using nothing but scraps and his genius. His engineer ways out of his captivity and decides to put both his mind and his heart in the right place, becoming the armored Avenger we know as Iron Man. Now, Iron Man has shown up in a ton of Marvel video games, so you might think ranking his designs would be easy. There's a problem. Iron Man has the biggest superhero closet in the world. Seriously, this man has more suits than most heroes have costumes in their entire history. And depending on the story, the game, the universe, and every armor looks different. So, here's what I'm gonna do. I'm going to rank 8 of his most iconic armors across multiple video games, nothing more, nothing less. And I'm judging them not only on how faithful they are to the comic designs, but also on how much originality and style each game brings to the table. So, let's start.
My turn.
Let's kickstart with the first armor, the Model 1. Everyone knows the quote,
Tony Stark was able to build this in a cave with a box of scraps.
The suit is the foundation of Tony's entire redemption arc. It's clunky, raw, desperate. That's what makes it iconic. First up, we have Iron Man the video game, based on the MCU design. This is the Mark I straight from the movie, and honestly, it's basically what the design would expect from the Mark I. Clunky, desperate, and there are parts of discoloration which I didn't expect from the Mark I. But for the game, I give it a 9 out of 10, even though it's the first MCU armor. But the first Iron Man game also gave us the comic book Model 1 armor. It's pretty accurate to the comic, a bit shiny, but it's a bit off due to the rendering of the game. 7 out of 10. As for Iron Man 2, I gotta admit the rendering does feel off when it comes to this game. 6 out of 10. But we do have the Lego Marvel games, and they do have the iconic Mark I armor. And it's actually funny that Stan Lee is the one who suits up Tony in these games. So that's a 10 out of 10. No debate, especially from Stan the Man. Marvel's Avengers Model 1. Well, this has got to be my least favorite version of the Model 1. Yeah, it looks like it's made out of scrap metal, but it feels too modern, almost like it's one of Stark's later models. Like it's a raw prototype. 4 out of 10. Iron Man VR. This one takes MCU inspiration, but it gives its own identity. I do love the subtle discoloration across the armor and the big propulsion tanks on the back. Feels more handmade, but stylish. 10 out of 10, I love it. Now comes to the Model 3. This is basically where you see the iconic red and gold, basically the legendary Iron Man colors that we see in comics. First up, Ultimate Alliance. Now Ultimate Alliance does include a Model 3 skin. It's pretty straightforward and clean, recognizable, no nonsense. 8 out of 10. Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 2 do have a Model 3 skin, and I'll be honest, I wish the arc reactor was yellow. Still solid, 7 out of 10. Of course, I cannot mention the Model 3 without the MCU Mark III, and it's possibly one of the most iconic Iron Man suits, especially if it's a movie suit, 9 out of 10. Of course, the Iron Man game does have the classic Model 3 skin. It's a bit off, 6 out of 10. Especially the fact that both these suits do appear in the Iron Man 2 video game. 5 out of 10 for both of them because of the rendering of this game. I'm going to mention Iron Man 2 a lot with this video. Marvel Heroes brings the Model 3, and it's pretty much what I expect. Classic red and gold Iron Man, faithful and clean, 7 out of 10. Marvel's Avengers actually did bring the Mark III to this game, and it's pretty good. Easy 10 out of 10. Now, they actually bring back a classic Model 3, and jeez, this looks amazing. If I forget the MCU for a second, this is the purest mental image I have of Iron Man in his classic armors. There are some things, but it can be passed because I love this. I love it. 10 out of 10. Absolutely phenomenal. Another iconic armor that Iron Man has is the iconic Model 7 Silver Centurion. This armor is where Tony swaps out the classic gold for silver, giving us one of the most classic striking armors in comic book history. Marvel Heroes kept the classic Silver Centurion look, clean, faithful, strong lines, and sharp colors. It's what you expect from the armor, 9 out of 10. Iron Man the game. It gives us the classic suit, but the rendering gives it off, 7 out of 10. Iron Man 2, yeah, it's a trash game with bad rendering, 5 out of 10. Contest of Champions brings out a much more modern Silver Centurion, but I feel like they over-designed it a bit, 7 out of 10. Now, there are some MCU Silver Centurions, which I am going to rank. First, the Lego version, which I am be honest, 10 out of 10, that's an instant win. And next we have the Iron Man 2 mobile game, which I'll be honest, it is pretty bad, I'll be honest. But the MCU Silver Centurion is there. And I do love the sharp colors and more modern design given to the Iron Man 3 design. Classic, 10 out of 10. Now for Marvel's Avengers. This does give a much more close to the comic design of the Silver Centurion. There's one small problem, which is this little split of gold on the boots. It shouldn't be there. It was so good. They shouldn't make that slit silver, but I'll give it a high ranking of 9.5. Next up, my personal favorite armor, the Modular armor, Model 13. This is peak 90s Iron Man. This suit is instantly recognized from classic animated series and games like Marvel vs. Capcom. It's flashy, it's iconic. It's one of the most defining eras for Tony Stark. And we start off with the 16-bit games such as Marvel vs. Capcom and Marvel Cosmic Annihilation. They're basically definitive 90s modular armor, 10 out of 10 for both of them. Now we move on to Marvel's Avengers, and I had no idea what is this. Everything else feels so off. Arc reactor shape, off. It's just off. This is not the modular armor. 2 out of 10. Midnight Suns actually found a way to modernize the modular armor, give it a more sleek but classic design. 9.5 out of 10.
All right, everybody, stand down. You listen to me? That little witch is messing with your mind. You're stronger than her. You're smarter than her. You're Bruce Banner. Right. Don't mention puny Banner.
Next up, one of the most iconic heavy-duty armors, the Hulkbuster. When Tony needs to throw hands with someone way out of his weight, class, and league, let's say the Hulk, this suit is what he calls in. In the classic Iron Man game, we do have the classic Hulkbuster. It's pretty much what you expect from the classic comics. 7 out of 10. The LEGO Marvel superhero game actually makes the Hulkbuster a big fig. And I actually like it before they actually made the iconic LEGO Hulkbuster set. 10 out of 10. Future Fight, Contest of Champions, and Strike Force use a MCU-inspired or MCU-adjacent design. It's fine. It's not mind-blowing, but fine. 6 out of 10 on across the board with these three. LEGO Marvel Avengers uses the iconic Age of Ultron set for this game, and, well, it feels a bit off when I have this set, but still cool. 7 out of 10. LEGO Marvel 2 uses the iconic Infinity War variant of the Hulkbuster, and I don't know, it feels off. More than the Age of Ultron. 6 out of 10. Disney Infinity. Well, it is the MCU Hulkbuster design, but it has some sort of charm into it that Disney Infinity can bring. Stylized, chunky, and fun. 9 out of 10. Marvel's Avengers. This is Iron Man's Ultimate, and my god, besides the MCU design itself, this is one of my favorite designs of the Hulkbuster. It's massive, intimidating, and beautifully detailed. 10 out of 10.
No gain, my boy.
Next we have the Model 29, also known as the Extremis armor. This suit didn't just modernize Iron Man, it redefined him. Extremis streamlines Tony's design so much it directly inspired the look for the MCU suits. Also, I have to thank for some people pointing out I mix up the Model 25 in Ultimate Alliance with the Extremis suits, so this time we're gonna get this one right. In Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 2, they actually did use the iconic Extremis suit that was used in the Civil War story arc. It's needed for this storyline, and it's perfectly done with the detailing. 10 out of 10. Marvel's Ultimate Alliance 3 actually did bring an Extremis suit skin. It's actually more polished, and I love it. 10 out of 10. Iron Man 2 the game, again, bad rendering. It's a bad game in general. 6 out of 10. They ruined one of my favorite suits. Marvel Heroes. They ruined the Extremis armors even more because of that bad helmet design. 2 out of 10. Marvel vs. Capcom 3. This is actually extremely stylized and I love it. 10 out of 10. Marvel's Avengers, before it was even shut down, supposed to include the Extremis suit. And we actually have a preview right here. It's extremely sharp and bright. 10 out of 10.
Never, ever say that. That's pretty much Hero 101.
Now we have the Bleeding Edge armor, Tony's first true nanotech suit. This is the armor where Iron Man fully crosses over to the kind of tech we see in Infinity War and Endgame. Also, someone did point to me that the Extremis suit was partially nanotech, and they're right. But Extremis is more hybrid, with nanotech in the inner layer and traditional armor on the outside. Bleeding Edge is more nanotech, liquid metal that forms around his body like a second skin. And I'm actually looking for those details with any games that has that sort of feature in the body of the Bleeding Edge. First up, we have Marvel Avengers. It's not sleek or skin tight, but what am I supposed to expect? 6 out of 10. Midnight Suns. Yeah, this is gonna be the problem with a lot of developers. Despite it looks like the Bleeding Edge, it keeps bulking up the parts and plating. It's supposed to be seamless and smooth. In other words, a high-tech bodysuit, not something that bulges out like the Model 3 to whatever. 6 out of 10. Fortnite. How did Fortnite get the Bleeding Edge armor right? At first I thought fans were exaggerating, saying it was a redesign of the classic armor, but no. I looked at these models, it's skin tight, it flows like nanotech when it suits up. And even with some minor differences, this is the Bleeding Edge armor. I'm amazed. 10 out of 10. And finally, we reach the last armor for this video, the Model Prime. At this point, I feel like I stroked Tony Stark's ego enough for one video, because this is another full nanotech suit, and one of his most advanced in the entire closet of Hall of Armors. LEGO Marvel 2 actually does have a Model Prime suit, and honestly, it's pretty adorable. 10 out of 10. Fortnite. My god, how do you nail the Bleeding Edge but mess up Model Prime? The upper torso is way too bulky. It should sit close to Tony's body, streamlined, smooth. Basically, Fortnite loses this round, 5 out of 10. Finally, we have Marvel's Avengers. Wow, despite butchering the Bleeding Edge suit, they somehow delivered the perfect Model Prime suit. Accurate proportions, clean lines, beautifully realized nanotech aesthetic, and it's streamlined. I gotta admit, despite it being a crap game, there are some beauty behind what you can do with the suits. 10 out of 10. And those are my rankings of 8 of Iron Man's best armors and iconic suits from the comics all across video games. Now it's your turn. Which Iron Man suit is your favorite, and which game nailed the design? Let me know in the comments,